Oh, they're all coming back in.
I know I'm that's what I said to you. Oh, they have pictures. Mike, and I'm not, he's talking, but I didn't hear him. Apparently, he's. Have you got the sound up? Or is this not making?
Mine's just there.
Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Constance, Constance, we can hear you, but we're on a break.
Okay. Oh, all righty. Awesome. That helps me figure it out.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. And we've got Rob McDonald, and his packet starts on page 9. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you for having me. For the sake of efficiency, I'll just dive right in. By social media policy, when a department wants a CSKT sanctioned Facebook page, they submit me the proposal and I bring it to council, which is what I'm doing here. Natural Resources received a grant regarding fruit bleeding, which essentially is the lure that unharvested fruit has for wildlife populations, especially in the corridors, and is a major issue to manage in keeping populations of people from animals and unfortunate clashes. So as part of a new effort to amp up those efforts, they would like a new Facebook page to promote their activities, events, education, and that is my request to council to allow them to create what would be the 25th Facebook page officially sanctioned by tribal council.
Madam Chair, I'd make the motion to approve the Facebook.
Okay, motion by Martin. Second by Carol. All those in favor?
Madam Chair, I'm going to abstain. I was out of the room.
Oops, Lynn is out of the room. One abstention, which
Madam
is
Chair?
Ellie.
Well, while we're here and Rob's here, I would make a motion to approve the Pablo Facebook page that was never fully sanctioned, and it was an issue. So I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, motion by Martin. Do we have a second? Okay, Bing, second. All those in favor? Unanimous with Lynn out of the room. Oh, I'm sorry. One abstention. Charmel with Lynn out of the room. Motion carries. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, next up is Constance, and her packet is on page 10, or her presentation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have, I'm coming to council in regards to an elder who has requested his caregiver, who is living at his house, and did go through the packet, or through the process of being background checked, and his background came back, and he had not passed that. And I have Cynthia Matt online in regards to discuss that if any questions. But our elder is requesting a waiver for him where he can work for him. And that would be for him to work only for this gentleman.
Any question? Oh, Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, I did talk to the individual and I did talk to Jason, and yeah, there's a real desire to bring him on, but the rules is the federal funding, correct? But we have waived that in the past, is it correct?
Yes. We have had waivers.
Tribal funding?
No, this here
you
is
hear a
tribal
question?
funding.
I'm sorry, did you hear her question, Constance?
No,
Is it federal funding, Constance, or tribal?
it's tribal.
Okay, and I don't know how to say this. There is in Mr. Beaver's background some concern, but if it wasn't for the tribal member requesting him, and he's went through a few caregivers, and I know Mr. Beavers has stayed with Bear. He lives right below my home. And I will go ahead and make the motion to proceed.
Okay, motion by Carol. Do we have a second? Second by Martin. All those in favor? Opposed? Mike and Charmel are opposed. Motion carries with Lynn out of the room.
Thank you.
Thank you, Constance.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Mike.
I've noticed in these instances where waivers have been made, it was always for family. Always for family. And I don't know if these folks are related or not.
Mm.
Thank you, Mike.
I am not aware whether they're related or not. I just know that Bear has a good relationship with this young man, and he is living in his home, and he is caregiving for him at this point, and had put in his application to complete the background check, and it took a good 6 weeks to get that finalized, and then I know that he spoke with Carol in regards to getting a waiver for the gentleman, because we are having trouble getting staff to come on board. And the gentleman does need to have a caregiver.
Okay, thank you, Constance.
Alrighty, thank you.
Bing has something. Hold on just a minute, Constance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Constance, before you leave, last night we were down at the Senior Citizen Center in Ardith. We're having our district meeting. And last night they just had coolers in there to cool the building, and they weren't very functional at all to do any cooling. And I was wondering if there's a possibility of getting an air conditioner in there for their senior citizens. You know, I mean, Larry says he's going down and cooking at night because it's so hot in there during the daytime that he can't hardly stand the heat in there. And he was, you know, when I talked to him last night after the meeting, and he was, you know, it would be really appreciative if there was a way to get some air conditioning in that building. But it was miserable last night down there, you know, with the little coolers they have in there that to cool that big area, you know, and you know, you have the senior citizens going back down there again to have dinner, and it is kind of pretty warm in there with the 98, 99 degree temperature coming up this week. So I was just going to say if there's any possibility of getting an air conditioner put in that building. You know, with the funding that we had with COVID and whatnot, it seemed like that we could find something to, you know, to some funding somewhere to do that for them people.
Larry made me aware last Thursday that that their air conditioner actually just went out last Thursday afternoon when I was down there. And yes, we are getting an air conditioner in there.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. Okay, bye.
Okay. We've got a lands committee discussion with Mark Couture.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, the other night I went to St. Ignatius School Board meeting, and that's where I met this gentleman, Renee. What's his name? I mean, we're not starting yet. I just wanted to let council know. And he's a teacher at St. Ignatius, and when I heard his presentation, I don't think he realized that I was on the council sitting in the audience, but I'm really glad that you came in because I think this is a good project, and I did talk to Ellie, and so we'll see. I'm hoping the council considers it strongly. If we could take him first, he's been around for a while. Mark.
Okay, Mark, if we can just have you hold up for a minute. Go ahead and come on up, Tim.
He's with Lance.
Oh, he is? Oh, okay, I thought, all right.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Ming.
Before we get started, I was going to ask Mark, I requested a report from you on how many empty units you had um, in lands, and we never did get that report, so I'd like to know if we could get that to see how many empty units there are out there that's vacant. Because I know for a fact that there's some up there that's been vacant for years, so I'd like to know, how many other ones are like that.
Are we asking empty houses, or just home sites?
Homes. He knows of 2.
Yeah, they're in the HUD foreclosure system still,
Oh.
and we're just stuck waiting on that to get done. There are, I believe, 7 in the HUD foreclosure, and we are trying to get them taken care of. We've done all the application processing on them, and it's waiting on the HUD program to give us the deed in lieu of foreclosure or the deed in lieu of leasehold mortgage. So I know there's one down in the Evero area that is vacant. It looks pretty nice from the outside and everything. It's got a little bit of cosmetic damage, but that's in the HUD foreclosure system. And there's nothing we can do with it until that is actually given back to the tribes for ownership. And what's that?
Excuse me, Madam Chair, can legal check on it?
Yeah, we were working with Brian Upton. The office was, George, Cloanne was there at the time too, working on this. Jody Perez was involved a little bit at the beginning of it. So we've been involved with them. I know that they have been reached out to on a different occasion, trying to find out what the statuses of that is. But we have 4 of those units right now that could be, I think it's 4 units that could potentially be move into. There's a couple of them that are actually condemnable, is what we would have to be doing. But that's where we sit on those ones. The Gray Wolf House is actually under emergency housing right now, under a rental. And then other than that, we do not have any vacant homes underneath the home site, other than the duplex right now that is available. That's it.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, Bing. So I'm taking that Carol's request was to go ahead and take Mr. Marchant first from the St. Ignatius School with his presentation.
Am I down hooked myself from live? I'm not sure.
I'll move this over.
Good morning. I'm Tim Marchant.
You'll have to turn your mic on, Tim. There's a little
Do I need to
red
sit here
button.
to?
Yeah.
Okay. Not used to doing that.
I
I'm
believe
Tim
this is on
Marchant.
page 29.
Anyway,
Go
I'm
ahead.
Tim Marchant from St. Ignatius High School. I'll be on August 25th, starting my 31st year there. I'm here today to represent the school board, several of our teachers, and my 6 grandchildren. I have some materials. Can I share them with you? I think you have them already, but these are in the order I kind of wanted to talk.
We have the
That's-
proposal first is what's in our packet from the school itself, dated July 13th.
Yes. You have that. Okay.
They have the whole thing right there on screen.
Okay. Yep. I'm not sure that you have the them in the order that I have them, but I'll try to get through that. And I'm not going to go through.
Would it be okay to pass them out?
You certainly could.
I usually do. I'm Van. I'm just here because.
Yeah, just
I'm
good.
here for moral support because Tim's been part of our SKC USDA school garden. I'm just here for moral support.
So I got involved, as Renee says, with this about 3 years ago. And I was kind of out of my element. These sort of programs often are directed at STEM classes. And of course, I am a humanities English teacher. And, but you know, I have, as I mentioned, 6 grandchildren under the age of 4, and my concern about their education is at the top of my list, even though I'm at sort of the end of my, nearing the end of my career. Theirs is just starting. 3 of them are in St. Ignatius School District, and 3 of them are in Ronan School District. I'm working on that though. I'd like to think that I want them to get the best education they can, and I like to think the place I work is the best place to do that. I get an opportunity to talk to kids, rare opportunity actually. And I don't mean giving them an assignment, but I mean actually talking about their concerns and issues in their life. I can tell you without exception, if I talk to my 28 graduating seniors this last year, I can assure you that almost without exception, they have a concern about their environment. They're worried about the planet on which they will be living. Worried in the sense of like in a burning building, worried. What do we do? What can we do? And so we've been, you know, I've been kind of thinking about what can I do? What can we do? They're looking for answers. I feel like, frankly, I feel like I've failed them to some degree. And so, yeah, I'm trying to rectify that a little bit. In any case, we've been looking at an outdoor classroom / school community garden. If you go around the reservation, you will see that you can see that we are about a decade behind other schools. When I look at Polson, Dixon, Ronan, I see that they are all working on school garden stuff, and we have fallen behind, I think, a little bit there. Anyway, I felt kind of alone in this, and we recently, as I was, you know, searching around St. Ignatius schools to find a place and a way to do this, and recently, and I'm talking about the last 6 months, and up until the last couple of weeks, some opportunities have arisen. Other teachers becoming interested. We have a school nurse whose name is Ryan Newton. Miss Newton has taken some interest in this, and has, in fact, is the author of some of the stuff that you will see in your packet. And also, we have come across some money. I'll get into that in more depth in a minute, but in 31 years, 34 years of teaching, that never happens. A good idea and money. So that's been real fortunate. And then we've been talking about a location, which has been sort of a fairly big obstacle to this plan. Anyway, that's sort of my background. if I could just go through this real quickly then, and I'll kind of, I think it'll make more sense as we get through this. And if you're not sure about the spot I'm talking about, that I think that'll become more apparent as we go through this. The first page of the document that you have is from a yet to be published Google site, and it's really this little excerpt here doesn't do it much service, because it's got pictures of kids doing stuff with gardening at their own homes, at our school, Eagles projects, recycling, and it's really a cool thing. Community dinners, stuff like that. Yes.
Tim, can I interrupt you real quick?
Absolutely.
So the one thing that Tim's doing here too is he just mentioned the Eagles Club. That was formed back with the like climate change and everything else. Renee, do you remember what the actual acronym means? I don't.
I have to focus, but it was Mike and Jim Birdwell. It's environmental advocates for local and global ecological sustainability.
Okay, so that's what the actual acronym means. And the Eagles Club also, their first year went into their carbon footprint with the school. So what they did with that is that they reduced light usage, paper usage, started recycling. Lights were shut off after the classroom or during class even, and they saved an abundance of money and energy in that for the school. So they're part of this program. So he's done a lot of research in that on trying just to move it forward and to propagate this. And that's why I wanted to bring up, because it does say the Eagles Club. I just wanted to get the acronym out there and what that stood for and what the program that, part of the program that he's working with down there. Go ahead, Tim.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, that's an important part of it. And the COVID pandemic and the shutting down of the schools last March put a hurt on the Eagles projects in our school. It sort of curtailed those while we recovered from all the other stuff we had to do. We'll be looking at sort of reinvigorating that club when school year starts again. Anyway, the next page talks about, it's titled School Garden, Nutrition, Farm to School. It gives a 4-phase plan of action. And I can tell you right now, we are at the top of the phase 1. Planning, funding, purchasing. We're planning, well, actually we're planning, I'll go into that a little bit more, but that gives you a broader picture of where we're headed. And that was written by Miss Newton, our school nurse. The next page, the next part of the package should give you the school garden executive summary. Again, I won't belabor that with you, but again, this was written by Ms. Newton. The next page is a map on grid paper. Does everybody see that? Ms. Newton also did this. I did put the north arrow on there though. So, but it's kind of to scale. The place we're talking about is directly across from the old front of the high school. If you're familiar with St. Ignatius High School, if you come to a game or anything, you're on 3rd Avenue.
This is on your page 39 of your packet.
You're on 3rd Avenue, directly across the street from the front of the high school. It was the old district office that was torn down. And in the last about a year and a half, we put up STEAM labs, science, technology, engineering, and math labs. That currently exists, and I know that elementary teachers are using that with their students. The lot that we're talking about is a standard city lot. It's 50 feet by 150 feet, and it is immediately south of that building. The map is hard to read. I understand that. It's got some place for greenhouse, storage shed, some planting beds, outdoor classroom type facilities, teepee circles, a meat drying rack, a variety of facilities that teachers could use. This is an end product, and we're talking about stage 3 and phase 3 and phase 4 of the project. We are a long ways from this right now. There's a couple of things that I want to highlight on this that I'll probably come back to again, but one of the things that we initially thought was, where could we do this? Where could we have something like this? And I've literally, even having been there 30 years, I even just a couple of weeks ago walked around the campus. We're looking for a spot where this might work. There's a couple of things that work really well about this spot. One is, of course, the connectivity to the STEAM lab. You walk out the door, you're in the outdoor classroom, you're back in the lab, you're back in the classroom. There's the other sites that we have are some distance from all classrooms. One of the potential spots that somebody mentioned was way out on the practice field. And I have to tell you, when I was in junior high, if you had to walk me out there, you would lose me before we got there. So the connectivity for a classroom teacher is really good. You know, you would lose fewer me's doing that. The other thing about it is, and this is really important in my mind, is you don't have to cross a street to get to it. I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you're got 20 elementary kids with you, that's a big issue. Right now, the problem is if you're in the elementary school, you still have to cross Blaine Street, in front of the elementary, to get to the STEAM lab. It's a safety issue. If we put it somewhere else, you're gonna have to cross 1 or 2 streets to get there, in addition to a bit of a hike. So one of the things that I really like about this is the safety feature of being able to go from the classroom to the lab and back without taking little kids in the street. There's other locations, but they don't have that feature. The next page is a letter that I wrote to Mr. Ducharme, who frankly I have never met, but was indicated to me that he was the person to contact. And so basically this letter discusses the legal location of the lot and our intentions with the lot.
Ellie's got a question or a comment.
Yes.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So the current permit expires July 31st. I'm assuming that since this is going to be a garden site, you're going to be looking at a permit that is greater than normal. Is that correct? And do you have any recommendations?
I do.
To that we can?
I do.
Sure. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Terry.
Oh,
Yeah, we were more looking for a long-term lease and not just the short permit that they had before, because that one was more geared towards kids that needed more room to go outside, get out of the classroom for teenagers and stuff. So this would be a completely different one where we'd want a longer term, just because they will be investing in the kids and money.
So do you have then recommendations prepared as to years and terms that we can?
We will have to have a further discussion just because at this point it is a home site lease, or it's a home site. There's no lease on it. We don't have anybody that's interested at the moment, but it would have to become a council decision on what we'd want to do with this site if we decide to change it.
Go ahead, Sharma.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mark and Tara, I don't recall what the reason is. I know we talked about this before, but this lot has not been used in a long time. I mean, I think Basil is the last person that lived there, and that's been when I was at Mission High School. So just a few years ago.
of course.
Yeah, this has not been an active, it's been an active home site, but there's been no takers on it. The lot is, like he was saying, is a small lot, 50 by 100 feet or whatever it is. It's very narrow. There was an old house on there and it was demolished. It was demoed and demolished. And ever since then, it has not been used. The only activity on it was last year during the school season when they asked for an outside classroom for social distancing. Other than that, this has been a vacant, like Tara said, we really don't have a lot of takers on this site in general because of the size. It's good enough for like a single wide trailer, but it's very narrow. Access, parking and stuff become an issue also when it comes with the school session. So that's where this home site sits.
Carol, did you have some?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would like to see us move forward. This fits right in the whole goal of what this tribal organization is doing with food sovereignty and agriculture and everything we're trying to get our communities to work on. And what better opportunity is to have somebody that has a passion in gardens, as you can see his drawing here, and who's able to put that together. I wish we had one of him in every single community. So if we can do anything to, mold him and put him in Arlee and all the other communities, which there's probably people already there, but I think this is a great opportunity for kids and it's a great opportunity for us. And it just fits in with the mission of the tribe. And I would be willing to consider at least 10 years with the option to give the school another, if they continue down this road, which we all know what the economy looks like and trying to buy groceries. I think it just fits for every community. But anyway, I would make that motion to go ahead and proceed. Unless Ellie, you probably want this motion. Okay, to proceed with it, just because of the funding, and maybe I better not make a motion until everybody has a chance to speak. So, but I think with the amount of money that he's considering to put in, I think we need to give him some kind of longer time frame. Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Terry, you just mentioned that nobody's interested yet on page 29. It says that spoke with Shara Home Site Lease Tech, and there is interest in the home site from an applicant.
Actually, so at one point, they were in discussion with somebody thinking about it, so I wanted to make sure out that then they're not happy with the size of the lot. So, yeah, then it should be changed to no interest, so literally there's nothing. So sorry about that, Aaron.
Thank you.
Okay, so Carol, with your motion, are you looking at a 10-year and what's the monetary that you're suggesting?
Madam Chair, 10-year with let's go 5-year option. With an option, let's say an option to renew, not a time frame. 10-year with an option to renew at $1 a year. It's for kids. I mean, we give fire departments land $1 a year, so I think we can do the same for a school that's teaching our children. And if council has heartburn with that, I can increase it, but I just think, he has the money this year to do the garden in 3 phases, but after that, will he have, a lot of money to spend? So that's my thought, and that's my motion.
Okay, Carol made a motion, Ellie seconded. Is that correct?
Can you live with
Question
the dollar,
before we-
Ellie?
What was the request, the term
So,
requested?
I could just, I did want to go over the money a little bit. The school board has generously given us a slice of the ESSER grant. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the ESSER grant. It's Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Grant. I want to say, and I'm just eyeballing here, but our district got about $3.5 million. There are a lot of voices who'd like a bit of that. And so I feel not just financial support, but moral support from the school board to get the slice that I did. I've included the last page. I'll just go over it briefly, and I know you can't read that, but it's what the business manager, it looks like an email. So ESSER 2, the board has approved $41,683. The reason that that's included there, and it's hard to read, but that's an actual line item from which I can make purchases. ESSER 3, the district has approved approximately $41,000. That hasn't been put into the budget yet, and so I can't access that, but the board has promised me at the end of it, I'll have $82,000 with which to approach this project. And that's, in my experience of teaching, nearly unheard of, especially with the competition for that money. We've had several community meetings. Everybody wants a piece of that pie, so I'm pretty excited that the board has agreed to do that for us. And anyway, we throw the term grant around a lot, but let's face it, those are tax dollars. I was the manager of the Lake County Fair for 28 years. I'm very, very careful about how I spend tax money. So I'm looking for, some sort of longer term. The copy that I have in your package was a 1-year lease. It's hard for me to put that kind of money into something I might only have for 1 year. So 10 years would be a really, with an option to renew, would be a really positive. That would be the impetus I would need to go forward with spending money there.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Carol, seconded by Ellie. All those in favor? Oops, unanimous. Motion carries with Lynn out of the room. Go ahead, Sharma.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to make the request that the use of the property be done with recognition and honor of Basil Pesci. Basil Pesci was the gentleman who lived there for a long time, and I don't know for a fact if it was his allotment, but I know that he was an uncle to Dolly Linspigler, and the Linspigler family kept watch and helped take care of him there on that lot. And he was always around, the school area, and just a really important part of our community. And I think it would be really appropriate, honestly, to consider doing that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Peachy Park.
As I mentioned, we're at step 1 of phase 1. And before we do much else with the project, we would want to involve all the stakeholders, and I think that's a great idea. So, I'm hoping that the council will expect to see me again when we have other plans to do.
Go ahead, Mark.
I just make a comment during their first harvest that they should bring up a basket of all the vegetables in that for us to sample. That would be nice.
Yeah, well, looking at this season, it might be a vegetable. I can just bring it up, but so there's a lot of planning that needs to be done yet. I was telling the board the other day that I want kids to come away from that with, if nothing else, knowing how we treat water. That's the first lesson. So there's a lot that needs to be discussed before we do that. But this is a huge step on our journey there. So I appreciate your help in listening to it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Renee.
You see how quiet I've been? It's amazing. I just want to say one thing. It is part of a SKC extension project and a vision that was started by Mike Durglo. And than Virgil and everybody. And thank you, Lance. Thank you so much. It is part of a school garden network of all the people like Tim and everybody working so hard in the schools. School garden network that you'll hear more about. A lot of volunteer effort and passion. And so you'll see us again. Thank you. I'm not sure.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
With that, the rest of it is going to be the Tribal Land Committee, which will need to go into executive, and then we'll come out to make any decisions that need to be done.
Okay, we'll go out of regular and into executive.